Just after 10 hours GMT, you're watching our continuing coverage of the breaking news coming to us out of Afghanistan. As it stands this hour, Taliban fighters surround the capital, Kabul, and negotiations are underway to secure a transfer of power. There is a Taliban delegation inside the presidential palace, we understand. The situation on the ground is changing fast, hour to hour. It has intensified over the past couple of hours, with more and more provincial capitals falling to the forces of the Taliban. In a statement, the Taliban said it doesn't want to enter Kabul by force. It's told its fighters to wait on the outskirts of the city and not try to enter the city. The Taliban statement also called for safe passage to be given to anyone wanting to leave and for women to head to what it called, quote, protected areas. Foreign embassies have continued to evacuate their staff, with helicopters seen going between those buildings and the airport. US diplomatic officials have now started working from inside the airport, while NATO says several EU staff have moved to a safer, undisclosed location inside the capital. Live now to Kabul, and our correspondent tracking the developments for us hour to hour, Charlotte Bellis. Charlotte, sketchy details, I know, but just give us a sense of what the latest information is.
Well, this is actually not happening in Kabul, but it is the latest information and quite dramatic. The Taliban have taken over Bagram airfield, which was the big hub for the US, and inside that airfield is a prison. It's only just north of Kabul. Inside that prison was ISIL fighters, many of them, and as the Taliban have overrun this prison, these ISIL fighters have got out. We understand there are clashes, fighting, potential killing happening in this prison right now between the Taliban and ISIL, to the extent that the Taliban are sending their special forces units to Bagram prison to try to get control of the situation with these. There's thousands of prisoners in this prison, to try to get control of the situation developing there. So that has just come to us just in the last few minutes. Inside Kabul, however, it is just a constant stream of helicopters going back and forth between the embassy to the airport. Usually, and even this morning, it's just a straight shot back and forward in Chinooks. But since maybe 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, the Taliban said that they did have some fighters in the city. Then we heard gunshots. Then smoke started burning from US government buildings as they started burning documents. And at that point, many more helicopters were put in the air. US Apache helicopters, Black Hawks. They started firing heat flares, which, as we understand it, are used to kind of stop surface-to-air missiles. And they've been spraying them all over southern Kabul, through the city. And I mean, I've seen the helicopters come and go behind us here for many years, but that's the first time I've ever seen them use heat flares as a sort of protection. So they are hurriedly moving their personnel from their embassy to the airport at the moment. People are staying home and just watching to see what happens as these negotiations continue. It seems that they are making progress. I spoke a short time ago to US Special Representative Zalmay Khalilzad, who is in Doha. I asked him, had the negotiations broken down by the fact that we're seeing the Taliban knocking on the gate of Doha, of Kabul? But he said no, they are still going well. There has been some conversation that Mullah Baradar, who is the political head for the Taliban in Doha, that he would come. As far as I understand it, he is remaining in Doha for the moment as these negotiations continue. We understand some of these negotiations are focused on the transition of power, and obviously that would involve President Ghani losing his position as president. At this point, the government has very few cards to play. The capital here is surrounded by the Taliban. They've picked up provinces directly to the east and west overnight. They took the province directly south yesterday, and they have very few cards left to play to push the Taliban to any compromise and any type of future political settlement.
And Charlotte, it feels as if this is an utterly unique situation. We have the Taliban at the gates of Kabul city, literally. We have a peace process, allegedly, still ongoing in the Qatari capital, Doha. But we have also discussions going on inside the presidential palace, talking about, we understand, the demand from the Taliban, which is a handover of power. I mean, there is no way this scenario ends well for Ashraf Ghani.
Well, it could end worse for Ashraf Ghani, and that could be that the Taliban take Kabul militarily, in which case history may be repeated with the case of Najibullah many years ago. So I think he would much prefer to have some type of political settlement, not only for his own survival and his fellow government officials' survival, but also for the people of Kabul. There's millions of people live in Kabul, and the numbers have swollen as hundreds of thousands of people have pushed in towards Kabul as fighting has taken place in the provinces over the last few weeks. So there are a lot of people looking to this, hoping that a political solution is found and not a military one. It seems like they are making progress on those negotiations, but as far as Ashraf Ghani's political future is concerned, it looks rather bleak.
And as far as the signalling and the optics are concerned, when we talk about that shuttlecock process, Charlotte, helicopters going from embassies, going from, I assume, the compound housing that the embassy staff work in and live in to the airport, they're literally, we understand, destroying information in the embassy buildings. They're being ferried to the airport. Some of them are working by remote in the airport. The signalling there is clear. I mean, in a sense, we don't even need to discuss it, I guess. They all think Afghanistan, the entire country, is about to fall to the Taliban.
Well, this evacuation was meant to take place quickly, and that's why they've sent in these special forces. It was originally 3,000 special forces coming in to assist with this operation. It's swollen to 5,000 as the Taliban have encroached on the city. It was always meant to be done quickly, but definitely, as we can just see from the number of helicopters in the air and the fact that they have Apaches and Black Hawks up, essentially protecting these Chinooks as they ferry people back and forth, it has ratcheted up a notch in the last few hours as they have realized the magnitude of what is happening and how risky it could be if they don't get people out quickly. We had, as news broke that the Taliban had reached the gates of Kabul, we saw a huge fire, plume of smoke from a US government building, we believe, which we believe is them burning documents as they make their exit very fast.
Charlotte, for the moment, we'll come back to you, of course, in a couple of minutes to follow. But in the meantime, thank you so much. We will go back to Charlotte Bellis there, covering that developing story for us out of Kabul. Suhail Shaheen is the international media spokesman for the Taliban. He says fighters have taken most cities surrounding the capital, but they have not entered Kabul as yet.
Our forces have not entered Kabul city, and we just issued a statement saying that our forces will not enter Kabul city. We are talking and awaiting a peaceful transition of the capital city. And also there will be a special arrangement for the maintenance of security of the city so that personal properties and other government installation offices are not harmed. The forces, they have joined us. We say they have stopped fighting and they have joined us. In all provinces, in all majority of the provinces of Afghanistan, they have joined our forces and they have handed over they come with their weapons and everything. And their names are registered. So there will proper steps will be taken in future for how they will be embedded in the government. The people were welcoming us in all provincial centers. Our forces entered. So it is a popular uprising, and all the provinces are with us. So they should understand and know the ground realities and surrender to submit themselves to the will of the people. So that is the will of the people. There will be a government which will be acceptable to all Afghans. I think that's up to the other side team to come with tangible proposal, suggestion, which will pave way from peaceful peaceful transfer of power, and also to how would be the components of next future government.